Hi guys, it's me, Rainbow Berry Shortcake Fan 25, formerly known as AP1, AP, or you can call me Annalisa Rosetta. Today we're reading Who's Dolly Parton by True Kelly, illustrated by Stephen Marchesi. Set under the guitar. And we have the contents, chapters 1 through 10. And this is number 1, Who is Dolly Parton? Number 4, The Parton Family. Number 20, pages 1 is Who is Dolly Parton? Pages 4 is the Parton Family. Pages 20, Country Roots. Pages 31 is Radio Days. Pages 42 is Nashville. Pages 52 is A Star is Born. Pages 66 is Bigger Dreams. Pages 73 is Hollywood Dolly. Pages 84 is Dollywood Dolly. Pages 91 is Living Legend. Pages 98 is Still Dreaming. Pages 102 is Timelines. Pages 4, and last but not least, pages 104 is bibliography. I said it. Who is Dolly Parton? In Knoxville, Tennessee, in 1956, a tiny girl with freckles stood alone and stared at the microphone. She was about to sing on the radio for the first time. She glanced at her uncle, Bill, off stage, and then looked out at the crowd. She was scared. All those eyes staring at her. Was the shy 10-year-old country girl ready for this? There were so many people, and thousands more would be listening on their radio. It was her dream to do this, but now she wanted to run off the stage. Still, she knew this might be her only chance. She also knew her family was counting on her. She took a shaky breath and began to sing. Said it. Her voice was thin and wobbly. Slowly it grew stronger. Soon she was belting out her song. Almost before she finished, the crowd began cheering and clapping. They loved her. They loved her singing. They wanted more. From that moment, Dolly Parton wanted more too. She wanted to be a star, dream big, and big things can happen. Those words would guide her throughout her life. Even though she is only about 5 feet tall, Dolly stands out in any crowd with her curvy figure, glittery clothes, and big blonde wigs, just like Barbie dolls. I love them. Dolly likes how she looks. She doesn't care what other people think. She has always been true to herself. Her upbeat, down-home, honest, and funny personality charms everyone. There's no one else like her. Chapter 1. The Parton Family. Dolly grew up in a large, poor family in Tennessee. A.V. Lee Owens and Robert Lee Parton, Dolly's parents, married in 1939 when Dolly grew up in a large, poor family in Tennessee. A.V. Lee Owens and Robert Lee Parton, Dolly's parents, married in 1939 when A.V. Lee was only 15 and Lee was 17. They rented a log cabin far out in the woods. A.V. Lee hated it and moved back with her parents. There, she had her first baby, Willa Dean. After a year, A.V. Lee and Lee got back together. They moved into a rented shack in the foothills of the Smoky Mountains. Lee was a hardworking farmer. He grew tobacco, beans, corn, potatoes, and turnips. But he was a sharecropper. Sharecropping meant that Dolly's dad didn't own the land and had to share about half of the money from his crops with the landowner. It was a hard way to support a family, and soon another baby, David, came along. And then another, Denver. By now, the five Partons had moved to a one-room cabin on the bank of the Little Pigeon River in East Tennessee. They didn't have electricity, running water, or an indoor bathroom. That's sad. On one snowy winter night, someone went to get the doctor. Avie Lee's fourth baby was on the way. Doc Thomas rode on horseback to the cabin where Dolly Parton was born on January 19th, 1946. The Partons had no money, so they paid the doctor with a bag of cornmeal. That was a good trade. While Dolly was growing up, the Parton family moved several times. Once they lived so far out in the woods that their nearest neighbors were 2 miles away. The Partons had no radio, newspapers, or TV. They counted on their neighbors for news and for help in tough times. To go visiting, to church, or to school, they had to cross a river on a rope bridge and walk. When Dolly was 4, the Partons bought a farm. It was run down, but it was theirs. They stayed there until Dolly was 10. 3 or 4 Parton kids slept in one bed with all their clothes on. The Great Smoky Mountains, Tennessee, Knoxville, Sevierville, Little Pigeon River, Great Smoky Mountains in North Carolina. The Smokies are part of the Appalachian Mountain Range. They are named for the fog that often hangs over them. They run along the Tennessee-North Carolina border in the southeastern United States. The highest peak is Clingman Dome at 6,643 feet. Cherokee Indians lived in the forests and foothills of the Smokies until settlers from Europe forced them out. Many of the settlers were Scotch-Irish. They lived in simple log cabins and farmed in the mountain valleys. Music and religion were very important and helped bring isolated country people together from the depression through the 1950s. The area was desperately poor. People from the depression through the 1950s. The area was desperately poor. People started to leave because there were so few jobs. Today's tourism has helped the area with attractions like the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and Dollywood. Okay, the cabin walls were covered with newspapers instead of wallpaper. Dolly liked to read the walls. Dolly said later that they had 2 rooms and a path and running water. And if you were willing to run to get it, Dolly said later that they had 2 rooms and a path and running water. If you were willing to run to get it, she meant that the kids had to run and fetch water from the outside. They couldn't just go to a sink and turn on a faucet. Lee did all he could to keep his family fed. He fished and hunted, and everyone ate what nature provided: rabbit, squirrel, groundhog, turtle, or bear. He grew vegetables and kept bees. Almost the only foods they bought were coffee and sugar. Avie Lee worked really hard too. Avie Lee worked really hard too by canning, pickling, making clothes, and caring for the children. She was often sick. Her hard life was wearing down. She almost died giving birth to her next child, and a baby. Little Larry did not make it. Losing Larry was terribly sad for everyone, but especially Dolly. Dolly sat by Larry's grave for 4 hours. Her mother had said that Larry would be Dolly's special baby to care for. It was a custom in big families for an older child to make special care of one of the younger ones. Dolly had been her big sister, Willadine's special baby. The only toys that the Parton kids had were homemade. Lee made wooden wagons and cardboard box sleds. Avie Lee made paper dolls and doll houses and trains from old oatmeal boxes and matchboxes and spools. Dolly's mom once made her a corncob doll called Tiny Tasseltop. People said that Dolly's first song was about her. When Dolly was 5, Avie Lee wrote Appalachian Mountain Music. Appalachian music is storytelling music. Whenever people got together, they played music and sang about their own lives and problems. The songs told of loneliness, hardship, sadness, religion, and lost love. Dolly wrote and sang many of these kinds of songs, such as Joshua, a song about a lonely man and woman who find love, just like how Wally and Eve did in the movie WALL-E. Down one of Dolly's songs. It was an unusual song for a little girl to sing. The title was "Life Doesn't Mean That Much to Me." Many of Dolly's relatives loved music. Her grandfather was a preacher who also taught and wrote music. Dolly's great grandmother played an instrument called the dulcimer and made up songs. She sang old Irish and British style folk songs. Music was a big part of life for the people of the Smoky Mountains. Early on, everyone in Dolly's family noticed how musical she was. Her grandfather, Jake, said Dolly started singing as soon as she quit crying. She also loved singing with her sisters in church. Dolly sometimes forced her sisters, Stella and Cassie, to sing back up the songs she had made up. Dolly put a tin can on a stick and pretended it was a microphone. The porch was a stage. She put on shows for the chicken and any of her brothers and sisters she could trap. Her biggest dream was to be on the Grand Ole Opry, the famous country music radio show. Already little Dolly dreamed big. Grand Ole Opry, Johnny Cash. The Grand Ole Opry is a radio show in Nashville. It plays bluegrass, folk, country, gospel, and country rock. Since 1925, people in most of the United States and parts of Canada have listened to it every week. The show is still put on live every week on radio and TV. Top country stars perform. Many got their start on the show. Legends like Patsy Cline, Hank Williams, and Johnny Cash. Today top Opry stars include Dolly Parton, Reba McIntyre, Carrie Underwood, Garth Brooks, and Rascal Flatts. Chapter 2. Country Roots. Dolly's parents didn't have much time for their kids. They worked so hard just to survive. It was a struggle to buy new shoes each year for 12 children. The Parton kids invented their own fun. Dolly remembers trying June bugs to a string and calling them electric kites. The kids were outdoors all the time. They ran barefoot all summer. Dolly was a tomboy. Once Dolly jumped over a fence and cut her foot so badly her toes were barely hanging on. Avie Lee sewed them back on and they healed fine. I wouldn't want that to happen, do I, kids? Yeah, kids. The Parton girls used purple pokeberries to paint bracelets and wrist watches on their arms. They painted what they called Jesus sandals on their feet and pretended to be people from the Bible. Dolly wanted to work in a beauty salon. Pokeberries made good lipstick. Her mother didn't always approve. Dolly knew she did not want to stay on the farm. She hated working in the fields. Dolly thought of an escape plan. She got her brothers and sisters to help her dig a hole. For months, they kept on digging. Dolly's plan was to dig all the way to China. China's a good place, and I love China. Don't you, kids? Yeah, kids. Okay. Let me start back. Most of Dolly's brothers and sisters are creative and musical. Stella, Randy, Floyd, Frida, and Rachel are all performers and songwriters. Willadine is an author and poet. Dolly said she's like a second mother to all her brothers and sisters. Cassie works for Dolly, managing her properties. Bobby and David are both builders. Denver, a farmer, named his first daughter after Dolly. Dolly and her brothers and sisters walked 2 miles to school every day. The school had 8 grades and only 15 students. Most of them were Partons. The school had 8 grades and only 15 students. Most of them were Partons. Most of them were Partons. Dolly met 7-year-old Judy Ogle there. They became best friends for life. Judy wrote down Dolly's songs for her. Dolly never learned to read music, but for that, Judy still helps Dolly today. They have been best friends for over 55 years. Dolly hated school. She was too fidgety to sit quietly at her desk. She'd bang her heels on the desk just to make noise. She got up to sharpen her pencil 1,000 times a day. She was the class clown. She was always being punished. Even though she hated school, Dolly loved to read. Fairy tales were her favorite, but she read everything she could get her hands on. Catalogs, the Farmer's Almanac, the Bible, and even the funeral home.